Most of us know that in order to get a high band score in our IELTS writing and speaking module, we need to write complex and compound sentences. But do we know the correct punctuations? Do we know the usage of commas and semicolon inside them? In this video, not only we are going to take a look at complex and compound sentences, but also how to use comma and semicolons inside them correctly. Let's take a look. So let's talk about compound sentences first. Now, what are compound sentences? In compound sentences, we join two independent clauses together with the help of a conjunction. Now, what's this independent clause? In simple terms, clause is nothing but a sentence in English. So let's take a look at this example. So it says, she is a good student, full stop. She is sometimes lazy. Now, both of these sentences are independent. If you say she is a good student, it makes complete sense on its own because it doesn't need any other supporting statement. Similarly, if you say she is sometimes lazy, that is also a complete sentence on its own. It doesn't need any other supporting statement. So, these kind of sentences are known as independent clauses, or we also call them independent sentences. Now, when we club them together with the help of a conjunction, they become compound sentences. Now, if they are correct like this, what is the need to join them together? The need is that if we write sentences like these, short and simple sentences, they appear childish, as if small children are writing them. So we need to produce little bit more advanced structure than this in our IELTS exam to get good band score. Now, how that can be done, how we can combine these two independent sentences, let's take a look. So I am saying here she is a good student, comma, but she is sometimes lazy. Now, when we join two independent clauses together, we always use coordinating conjunctions for them. Now, what are these coordinating conjunctions? Heavy word, no? Let's understand. Coordinating conjunctions are sometimes abbreviated as fanboys, where F stands for, A stands for and, N stands for nor, B stands for but, O stands for or, Y stands for yet, and S stands for so. So all these seven conjunctions are known as coordinating conjunctions. And when you are using them to combine two independent structures, you always need a comma before these coordinating conjunctions like this. And if you are using them to combine two independent structures, you are producing a compound sentence. It's as simple as that. Now let's see how complex sentences are different from compound sentences, because here also we are joining two clauses. But what kind of clauses? Here we have one independent and one dependent clause. Let's understand with the help of an example. So it says, he does not score good marks, although he's a diligent student. Which one do you think is a dependent clause here? And which one do you think is an independent clause? Definitely, the independent clause is he does not score good marks because it makes complete sense on its own. Whereas if I say, although he is a diligent student, if I say this sentence alone without any additional information, this would be an incomplete sentence. So sentences like these are known as dependent clauses. Now, in complex sentences, we are joining these kind of structures where we have one dependent and one independent clause. How? Let's take a look. So we can say he does not score good marks, although he is a diligent student. Now see how I have not used a comma here, and that is the case in complex sentences. If you are using conjunctions in the middle to join one independent clause and one dependent clause, you do not use a comma along with that conjunction. However, this sentence can be switched like this as well. So we can say, although he is a diligent student, he does not score good marks. Now that we are using the conjunction in the starting, we can use a comma after our first sentence gets over. Now, what kind of conjunctions are used in order to join these kind of structures where we have one independent clause and one dependent clause? Well, we use subordinating conjunctions. What are these conjunctions? Quite a few, such as although, even if, unless, until, whether, because, quite a few conjunctions which are known as subordinating conjunctions. Let's take a look at some common errors that students do while trying to write sentences with conjunctions. Take a look at this sentence. It says, although I'm hungry, I will not eat. What we are doing here is, firstly, this is a classic error done by many students. Now, why this is an error? Because we are using one conjunction and we are putting a full stop right after first sentence. That can never be the case. If you are using a conjunction in a sentence, you have to join two sentences. That is the job of conjunction. If you are not joining two sentences, then don't use a conjunction. However, if you are using a conjunction, you cannot put a full stop right after first sentence. So how we can rectify this error? We can say, although I am hungry, I will not eat. We can also switch this sentence like this. I will not eat although I am hungry. So what we are doing is, in the middle, either we are using a comma or we are using a conjunction in the case of complex sentences. Let's understand with the help of one more example. So here it says, although she is always cheerful, but she looks sad today. This is also a classic error done by many students. Why? Because although can never be combined with but like this. If you are joining two sentences, although she is always cheerful, this is one sentence. She looks sad today. This is second sentence. We cannot use two conjunctions together to join two sentences. In order to join two sentences, we need only one conjunction. However, in this case, we have two conjunctions. One is although, another is but, which is making this sentence totally incorrect. How we can rectify this? We can rectify this by saying, although she is always cheerful, she looks sad today. Now let's understand the usage of semicolons. To understand its usage, let's also see some examples of conjunctive adverbs first. Some examples are however, thus, in addition, therefore, nevertheless, consequently, still, and also. Now let's understand how do we use semicolons. Let's take this example. The MNC I work in is incredible, full stop, but they do not pay good salary. Now, the very first question is this sentence correct? I would say yes, this is absolutely correct. Can we use this kind of sentence in our IELTS writing module? No. Remember, we talked about coordinating conjunctions, fanboys. Avoid those conjunctions in the beginning of a sentence because they are considered informal. And here we have but in the beginning. So this is a classic example of informal sentence, whereas in our IELTS exam, we only need to write formal English. However, you can use this kind of structure in your speaking module. Now, how can we make this sentence a little bit more formal than this? Let's take a look. So it says, the MNC I work in is incredible. However, they do not pay good salary. Now, see, I have used an adverb in the beginning of the sentence, how, and this adverb is however, and I am using a comma after it. But what if I'm using the same adverb in the middle of the sentence? Let's take a look. So it says, the MNC I work in is incredible. However, they do not pay good salary. Now, this is something you need to remember. If you are using conjunctive adverbs in the beginning of a sentence, you need a full stop before them and a comma after them. Whereas if you are using them in the middle of a sentence, then use a semicolon before them and a comma afterwards. Let's understand with one more example. So it says here, cities have become overpopulated. Therefore, the pollution crisis is increasing day by day. Again, I'm using a comma after therefore because I have used it in the beginning of a sentence. Let's put it in the middle of a sentence and see, cities have become overpopulated, semicolon, therefore, comma, the pollution crisis is increasing day by day. I hope that makes it clear how to use semicolons. Now, before winding up, let's see a common error that students do while writing. So you cannot write these kind of structures. It says the MNC I work is incredible. They do not pay good salary. What we are doing here is we are combining two sentences without a conjunction, just with the help of a comma. We cannot do this. To combine two sentences, either we need a conjunction or you can convert this into a semicolon. So avoid this kind of error in your IELTS writing. Don't combine two sentences just by a comma. I hope this clarifies everything about compound sentences, complex sentences, and using correct punctuation along with them.